Alright, welcome to the final day of the Chinese Championship. Today we'll find out who advances to the World Championship and who goes home with nothing. We have Lofstorm versus Sif, Small Juan versus Yanming, Xiao Ti versus Tri-Spear, and Tianming versus Yonosuke, all right at the start competing for the 4 World Championship spots. And then we will also crown the Chinese Champion of the year 2025. And let's get right to it. The first match of the day, we have Sif versus Lofstorm. Sif's Peddler DH, the only person to bring the deck, goes up against Lofstorm's Control Warrior. And immediately, great hand from Sif, has a weapon, has the 4-4 that lets you cheat out your Peddler a little sooner, but also a very good hand for Loftstorm with New Heights already there. It's pretty much the only thing you need as Warrior in the early game is New Heights to get to your powerful late game plays faster. There is a Spirit Peddler, actually 2 Spirit Peddlers for Sif already in that hand too. So we will be seeing a coining of a Raging Fell Screamer and then playing a Spirit Peddler right after. And this is already a little awkward for Loftstorm. Does not have a Yor to play on turn 5. Does decide to draw 2 for 4 mana. That card usually costs 0. It's a little unusual for it to see it cost 4. And this is, I think, the first decision point. You could go in with the Hostile Invader and Shield Slam to clear this board, but most of the time you do want to delay the opponent's ability to destroy the Spirit Peddler and slow down their turns. This Bulwark will not be especially efficient as it will play into the infestation that has been played last turn, and Loftstorm will take 6 here, but it will still protect his life total nevertheless, and allow this very good invader clear at this point. Decides to not play the safety goggle, save it for the next invader which is in hand. It's pretty smart choice by him. Sif finds a Window Shopper and a Treacherous Tormentor, and he is faced with the choice of a Lifesteal Morozons, Cheap Furak, and a top decked Deos. Which I would be very interested in Deos right now. Like, I know that the hand maybe needs a little bit of something, but there are 2 return policies in there. You could discount the Shopper, but he does decide to go with a Furak instead. And the Great Dracorox comes down, cleans up the board perfectly for the Warrior. And now Sif does not really have a great developmental play unless he wants to put his fate in the hands of Firak, which I think he is going to be forced to do, as the Firak does cost only 2 mana. And he decides not to do that yet. That is very curious because this board does not represent much damage at all. You could both Ziliax and Invader here. I think I'd favor the Ziliax, but he decides to go with the Invader first. I believe this was slightly misordered. You could keep the Spellburst on the Invader, but it's not going to be a big deal, as the Invader usually dies at this point of the game. So the Demon Hunter is looking to continue creating sticky boards, but in order for that to happen, he would need to draw his Ferocious Fellbat, which would resummon Spirit Peddlers and make the boards really annoying to deal with. Without the Ferocious Fellbat, the Demon Hunter deck really cannot create the boards that are too annoying for the Warrior. And the Warrior is allowed to just like play the Ancient of Yore and Shield Slam a bigger minion, and it's just the board's just not threatening. So just nothing. Yeah, it's just Sif is not very worried, or Loftstorm's not very worried about it. Sif does find the Ferocious Fellbat now, finally, from the Window Shopper, but wasn't even able to play it this turn. And yeah, this board, like the board is just not doing anything. The Warrior has all the time in the world. Very, very relaxed on the way to completing the quest. Even the Grim Harvest minions are both asleep for 3 turns. And this is looking very much in favor of the Warrior. Sif does have the ability, thanks to Zortov, the Breaker of Stars, to AoE the warrior board, which I think he is going to use, although it's a little awkward of having to red card something. He decides to play a Fellbot and a return policy actually instead. And this is finally the first one of these sticky boards that are really annoying for the warrior. It is just a little unfortunate that it did not show up a little earlier. Because right now the warrior has 12 mana. He could play Bob to freeze it, do something else. Or he could even maybe pop one of these Fellbats. Or yeah, do this, play the quest reward and use Bob to board lock the opponent. Preventing them from doing much at all. Civ will be able to red card something and AoE the warrior's board. Or he decides not to. He's decided to AoE his own board instead. A little questionable, I think. I don't really understand why we're doing this. Yes, we've completed the Broxigar, but Broxigar is just a 12-12 at this point. The opponent still has 2 brawls. And Ceaseless became active too. So it is very unlikely that this will stick. Yeah, and Loftstorm is able to clear off the Ferocious Fellbat, even draw some cards, and will be able to clear this board with either a Brawl or a Ceaseless. Decides to go with a Ceaseless, even eats a minion, makes a large board, which could be quite annoying to Civ. The eat is not very powerful, and there is a Kerrigan Deos combo in Civ's hand now, which probably will have to be used to deal 6 AoE with Kerrigan's Battlecry triggering twice, and then the hero power will do 14 damage thanks to Kerrigan first double summoning the 2/5s and then Deos double triggering the hero power as well. Unfortunately for Civ, the warrior is still at a large life total number. Actually decides to red card the Deos instead to save him for a later turn. But the whole problem of this situation is this would be great if it was done a couple turns earlier. But right now, warrior just has all the time in the world, and he finds Time Warp, which does mean that the warrior will be able to set up lethal for the next turn probably with that. Even goes for the crown, tries to find something defensive. Doesn't really find anything like that. Does find the Lina, if which played with the Time Warp should be able to put more than 30 damage on the board. But if you're able to do that another way, I think you should, just because the random minions can generate something that isn't exactly very good for you. Sif has drawn this entire deck at this point, 4 cards left, takes the Paraglide, so if there's anything that he really wants, he will be able to find it, but I'm not sure if there is anything in that Demon Hunter deck that can win the game from this position. Yeah, the Zerg minions, not bad, but there could be a lot better. He does try to kill the Lina, even knowing that the next one is in hand, just to not be threatened by the board. The Galvadon does find Wind Fury, which, combined with the Time Warp, will be lethal for the warrior. Also, frozen some 8/8s for good measure. And that is that. Loftstorm would go on to continue to take the series from here, win the game 4, and advance to the World Championship, which takes us to the next game. This one we have Small Juan versus defending world champion Yan Ming. And in this one, Yan Ming leads 2-1, and he has a Cycle Rogue going up against Small Juan's Hunter. We've seen Small Juan being a little shaky on the Hunter throughout this tournament, and we will need to see how that lasts. The Hunter hand does not look very exciting. There is a Sylvanas, but other than that, there really isn't that much going on in it. Has to trades the 2/1 and tempos the Brewmaster. Really not that exciting. The Rogue hand looks not very appealing either, but at least it has um a Eat the Imp and a Web Weaver and a preparation. Maybe we could cook something with that. Unfortunately, the rogue doesn't exactly have a turn. Just tempos the Web Weaver, which is actually kind of spooky at this point. It might just draw some of these additional cards, and the Hunter does not have a way to deal with this right now. I'm not sure about Small Juan's decision to tempo the Brewmaster on turn 2 there, given that we already do have a Sylvanas in hand. Small Juan will be able to make a little bit of a board, but unfortunately for him, it does appear that Yan Ming's draws are giving him what he wants. Finds a way to play the Everything Must Go. The minions, maybe not the most exciting ones ever, but both of them have 4 attack. There isn't another sister to accompany the Sylvanas, which will mean trouble for Small Juan. I think you just have to play the Grifta. I was intending to play it without the Scout. Oh, he goes for the Needy of the Top out. But I'm not even sure if he has 2 turns here to hero power the opponent twice. I very much doubt it actually, as the asteroids will stack up in Yanming's deck, and he will be able to probably find 28 damage over 2 turns from this point on. He is also kind of hoping to find a sister of the top so that the damage from the board stops racking up. This is actually probably the best out that Smudge One has. The pupil is activatable. It's not active, but it can be activated for 18 damage, but 18 is not 26. And I'm not even sure what the out is. I guess Needy off the top is the only way for Smoljuan to win, provided that he doesn't die here, because he is at 8 HP and there is a whole bunch of asteroids in the deck, with the Mauler being Shadow Stepped too. And we can already see Yanming taking off the headphones, which will probably mean that yes, that the lethal has been found with the O Manager and the cultist map finding an asteroid, and that will conclude Yanming's comeback into the in this tournament, and him being able to defend his title at the World Championship. Next, this is the Westerners' favorite player, Zhao Ti, competing against who was it? A Tri-Spear, the Quest Mage player. The Quest Mage did actually manage to already get a win here in the tournament, or in the series, which would be the traveling deck. And now we have a Death Knight versus a Cycle Rogue for the World Championship spot, just the one game. And we do have an Observer of Mysteries discovered from the creature. Great curve from the Death Knight, having a Morbid Swarm on one into creature. It would be better if the Death Knight was on the play, but you can't have everything. And also, Cycle Rogue does benefit from the coin quite greatly, so it's not all that bad after all. Cycle Rogue does go for what I'd consider a pretty peculiar play. They're using a preparation without like any EMG activate, like without trying to activate the EMG. He's probably setting up the doobie for this creature minion, but the creature minion wasn't top deck, so it doesn't actually mean that it would be necessarily large. And the observer comes down, which does not line up well into this doobie at all. And both the secrets proc immediately. And we will have, well, the doobie does get coined, but now the rogues can't have 2 EMGs, and not really a great way to activate them. I mean, there is a Wisp plus Eat the Imp, but you will need quite a bit more to help you activate those everything must goes. And was that both or just one Mauler plate? I don't actually remember. But given that a bunch of Maulers, given that at least one Mauler has been played, it'll be difficult to push damage against the Death Knight later on. Here, an interesting choice for Xiao Ti. You could coin Sanguine Infestation, you could also just decide to play the Blob. He decides to go with the Blob, saving the coin for the future use of maybe Maladar, maybe something else. And yeah, this did not look like a particularly exciting turn from the Rogue. Does not even have a coin to coin out the Incendius or the Incendius itself. Does have double Web Weaver, but going Web Weaver Shadow Step it is not exactly what you want to be doing at this stage of the game, or ever really with Cycle Rogue. That is a reborn blob of tar discovered from Xavius that keeps all enchantments on the far left, which is an extremely, extremely annoying minion. And that Death Knight just goes for pushing damage. Does not mess around with playing a creature. Just decides that there will probably be a pop-off turn coming up from the Rogue, as they've been setting up for quite a lot. Eats the Web Weaver. Again, not the most exciting perspective, but the double EMG comes down. And now, this is a strange spot for Xiao Ti, because he knows that his opponent's list runs double Playhouse Giant, so you don't exactly want to use Corpse Explosion on this. But this is also a highly threatening board, and you also want to push damage, sort of, which where using a board clear could come in clutch. There is a sort of weak lethal setup, or not really a weak one, where you just equip the Foam Render, put the opponent to 7, and you're ready to swing this Foam Render at their face again, put them to 2 with the hero power that will go to 1, and then Sanguine Infestation would have a chance, depending on how many 1 HP minions the Rogue has, to finish the game off. There is a CCG on the board though, which could discover, or which could get the Rogue some lifesteal. The Rogue doesn't really try for it, but he does find I-Beam anyway to heal for free, which does beat this lethal setup from Xiao Ti. But fortunately for Xiao Ti, he does have this Dreadhound Handler in hand, which with part of Corpse Explosion will be able to clear the board and preserve 4 corpses after, which would mean that this Foam Render can swing twice, and the Rogue deck does not have any taunts, so it just needs to finish the game right now. And there are no Maulers, I believe, in the Rogue's deck anymore. There might be one more Asteroid, so this is going to be extremely difficult to, or impossible to actually finish the game. And Xiao Ti does make it as our 3rd player to the World Championship. Huge congrats to him as well. And for the final top 8 match, we have Yonosuke versus Tianming. Again, we have the Death Knight. The Death Knight has done exceptionally well in this tournament. Every player that has brought it, I think, advanced to the top 8. And we see it again deciding the match, or trying to win the decider match. And this time on the play, Death Knight with Morbid Swarm and Creature of Madness already looking great. The Shaman not looking too shabby by itself with the Parrot Sanctuary and the Hagafa, but Tianming finds a Customs Enforcer from this Creature of Madness, which will prevent both the coin from being used and the Hagafa slimes from being used here, which is an absolutely disgusting high roll. Yonosuke can't play the game. Like, he can't coin Frosty. Like, he's not gonna be able to play any cards next turn. Like, he was supposed to click and play the Frosty decor, and it's just not possible, because the Customs Enforcer will be on the board. And I think just like that, Like, I don't really know what Shaman can do. The game might just like that be over. It's actually a crazy turn of events. Yeah, it plays the Murlocs, tries to get something out on the board. But the Hagafa will get cleared by the handler, the 1/1 will get value traded, and the Customs Enforcer is just still there. It's elusive too, like you can't even target with the pop-up book. It's one of these absolutely disgusting creature games where it's like, you see this on ladder happening. I haven't been haven't been able to show that much of this in the tournament, but it's just sometimes this card just like solos games, right? Sometimes you just get some completely ridiculous free drop, which just will not allow your opponent to play the game. I mean, the Death Knight is the control deck in this matchup a lot of the time, and the Shaman is just dying because they can't do anything. They can't play cards. Yeah, I would assume that. Oh, I was gonna assume that the blob comes down, but I guess the giant is quite a bit bigger, and it immediately threatens lethal against Yonosuke. The slime with the frosty decor will come down, will prevent that lethal for just a moment, but I think it is just a moment, not really much more than that. The blob will protect the customs enforcer, and I think we have to attack the giant into the 2/4. Oh, he decides to get rid of his foam render actually. I feel like I would have been on the side of keeping the foam render around, but we do have the pterodactyls to spend corpses on, so I don't hate this either. But both Frosty Decors from Yonosuke are gone, so there aren't really any defensive options that he could use here. There is a Muradin that can clean up the giant, I suppose. But now the hammer, for some reason, is also comes as a generated card, which is not great for Yonosuke either. The Customs Enforcer is still on the board, so you can't even coin Ziliax. And yeah, I think that the Shaman just does not have a single play that keeps him alive here. Right? They're just at 1 HP. The only healing in that deck is Ziliax. There's the A dates from the Murloc are also generated. They also didn't start in the deck, so that also gets disrupted by Customs Enforcer. And just like that, Tianming is our 4th player to make the World Championship. Congrats to all of them. We will see them in, what is it, 11 days' time? On 18th to 21st of December, playing in the World Championships against European and Asia Pacific players. And there is one more thing remaining to crown the Chinese champion for the year. These matches usually, as you can see them usually in the Masters tours for the Western players. They are not really as much as stressful, as much paid attention to, because the grand prizes of going to the World Championships have already been given. But nevertheless, we'll tune in for this one to because it is nice to crown the champion. And our contestants for the championship title are Tianming versus Loftstorm. And we have Death Knight versus Hunter. Tianming leads 2-1 in the series. Hunter has a fantastic hand with Nayel and Double Sister ready to go. One of these sisters being Sylvanas. Death Knight's hand not too bad itself, with a Reluctant Wrangler discovered from the Creature of Madness on the play, and Elise, which is exceptionally good in Death Knight. Actually, all 3 of the sisters, the entire family is here. And Luster will just be looking for that youthful Brewmaster to be able to get the Sylvanas back to hand and keep on clearing the Death Knight's board. I would say that Hunter is very likely to win from here. Lovestorm plays another sister, finds a Brewmaster, and uh, yeah, that is. I don't know. There is a Elise location, which is looking a little scary, which could copy this Reluctant Wrangler, and that does mean that the hunter probably has to trade into it. There is a copy. The Wrangler will get copied, but at least will not get reborn. But the 6 damage Sylvanas will come down on turn 5. And I think you still want to weave here with the hero power as Lovestorm and just trade this location on board for being able to play the click the hero power. Finds tracking, will probably go on to we'll probably be able to get a bunch of taunts soon, and the hunter still looks in a very, very strong position. But there is this airlock breach for the Death Knight, which is actually an incredibly good card against hunter, usually. Being able to gain the 10 life and summon 5/5s, threatening the board, basically forcing out another Sylvanas here, which Hunter really does not want to play, but you can't exactly leave this board up. The Hunter does decide to go for this Scout here. I find this rather questionable, but maybe I don't really know. I haven't. Yeah, it's so difficult for me to say which one of the decisions is actually better. But it felt very weird to commit the Scout when you're looking for such a specific thing like Brewmaster here. And the giant board swing comes down now after after the 5/5s have been cleared and after the Sylvanas is gone. And this is why I was very skeptical of playing the Sylvanas last turn. It's because now we don't have the answer to this, right? Like there isn't anything really in our deck that can stop this. And we do have deal free and freeze, I believe. From that mixologist potion, we could shoot for free with the potion. Oh, he decides to take the encounters instead and just take it a little bit of a slower route. But the pressure will just keep on coming from the Death Knight, right? Like the hand of the Death Knight is full, and that deck does not generally stop with the pressure. They're also back to 41 HP, which will make it incredibly difficult to actually kill the Death Knight. There are 2 Griftas, which can get deal 6, but it takes a lot of deal 6s to do 43 HP worth of damage. Lovestorm tries to find time to get the Incendius out. He took armor instead of a freeze from that potion, interestingly. But he will take quite a bit of damage if this giant and the Marin manage to go face. Which it looks like only one of them will. Never mind. And now all of the large minions have elusive, so you can't even steal them with Grifta. The Ceaseless is too expensive to come out. There is an eruption, but I think you have to take a Bob here in order to stay alive. Lovestorm goes for the eruptions instead, but like that doesn't solve anything, right? We're still dying to this board. Goes for Grifta now. Finds a discount, which doesn't help with anything really, and the hunter's just dead. I think it's just over. Yeah, it's just one last Hail Mary, but the Xavius does not discover anything worthwhile, and that is how Tianming has become the 2025 Chinese champion. Huge congrats to him. He has played very, very well throughout the tournament. Huge congrats to also Lovestorm, Xiaoti, and Yanming for being able to make it to the World Championship. I'll see you guys in 11 days. And finally, a little bit of stats. If you guys want to know which decks to play on ladder or in tournament play, we have the best deck of the tournament. Well, technically it's Peddler Demon Hunter, but this is a relatively low sample size, so I wouldn't pay attention too much to that. The best deck of the tournament based on the adjusted win rate, thank you for the formula by Oncrad, is 65%. Has only done 50% in the tournament, but accounting for bans too, it is by far the best performing deck in the tournament. The second best deck in the tournament was Quest Warrior, of 57.6% performance, taking quite a lot of bans, being left up by lineups that can actually deal with it, going a little bit less than 50% in those games. Then Sack Death Knight has been banned only one time in the tournament, but has performed exceptionally well at 64% win rate in the games that has been played, putting it at third. And then Cycle Rogue has done again very very well in the games that it has been played in with 55% win rate. Unfortunately, it not being banned almost at all and being played a lot does result in it dropping down. And Hagafa Shaman is the worst deck, the worst of the common brings to the tournament at least, at 41%. And then there is Quest Mage also, which yeah, this might be the worst common-ish bring to the tournament I've seen in a while. So if you want to win, don't play Quest Mage. Anyway, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. I hope to see you back for the World Championships in 11 days. And for now, bye.